Hello, hello. It is August 17th, well past the halfway point this year, huh? I hope everybody's had a good year. This is Paul Pedron, product manager for ZENworks Service Desk and Micro Focus Desktop Containers. I am the host of ZENcast, which is anything ZENworks. Every other week, actually not every other week, the first and third Tuesday of every month, we meet here so that you can get an idea of what's going on with the ZENworks products. And that way the ZENworks products, you get updated on if there's any updates, if there's any new TIDs or what the versions are, if you want to try things. We dabble in just different areas of ZENworks so that we can get that information out to you as soon as possible. Today is ZCM 2020 Update 2, just released last week. We're excited about this. We're going to talk a little bit about it. We're going to have an install and do an update. And so we're real excited about this release. There's a lot in this release that I think will really help you in your environment. And next time is September 7th. Now that's actually 3 weeks away because we have 5 Tuesdays this month. So September 7th, we'll be meeting on dashboards. Okay, and how we can use them to monitor and view your environment and tasks that are going on and so forth. So that's what we're going to be doing the next time. But this time, we're going to be doing ZCM 2020 Update 2. Again, just to recap, first and third Tuesday of each month, 9 o'clock Mountain Time, North America. You can catch us here on the Micro Focus Support and Training channel. And there are detailed recordings out there. They're saved. So you can find them out there under Unified Endpoint Management. If you wanted to, I'll put the, let's do this. Hang on one second. We will go here. Sorry about this. I didn't have this loaded in my cache. So I wanted to put this out there. Go back over here. And for this particular presentation, if you wish to download it, go ahead in the chat window. You can download it from my filer. So you can follow along, or you can download it if you're watching this recording. So thank you for joining us. Again, there's also a ZENcast schedule that's out there. You can view them and see what's coming up next for each of the months. We forecast out 2-3 months ahead, so you can kind of plan for that. All right. A little housekeeping, log into YouTube chat so you can join our conversation. We can be able to answer any questions you have as we go along the way. If not, I can get back to you if I can't answer them directly. Sometimes we have guests that are even more knowledgeable than myself, so they can definitely on that topic answer those questions. So please log into chat. That would be helpful. And then if you put an @ sign in front of the name that you want to chat back to, they'll get a little highlight. So it makes it easier to chat within the chat window. And then subscribe, notify, put in comments. We appreciate that. If you're watching the recording, please put in comments so that we can, any questions you may have or just comments about this ZENcast. I am having a little bit of light difficulty. I apologize. I got to redo the studio this weekend. But so I apologize for the back greatest. We'll try and sharpen that up for the next, after we get this fixed up. Well, you can download this presentation if you're watching it right here. If you have this particular presentation downloaded, you can go ahead and review it for later. There's a lot of different links and tags in here, so there's a lot of information. We won't cover it all. We'll go through it fairly quick so that we can get right into the installs. But please download. We had last week how ZCM deals with disasters presentation as well. So be aware that we covered that. That really wasn't on the schedule, but we had to adapt. Okay? And then you can always find in the Micro Focus Support and Training YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe. Have your settings autoplay turned on just to help so that you don't get lost should something happen. It goes off into another YouTube. And then you can do those settings via the gear and set it to 720/60 for your best quality. Okay? The ZENcast schedule, again, we're on update 2. We're going to look at ZCM dashboards coming up. We're going to have ZAM. We'll have a guest speaker for that one. guest presenter, and a guest presenter for ZCM imaging. And one more, we're going to do Micro Focus desktop containers, which isn't on the list yet. We'll have Ron with that one. So we'll have guests the next 3. So that'll be exciting. People that are really knowledgeable and into those products that can really give us some details. Okay. Next, we're gonna wanted to drop this in, so the customer portal login. If you're having any discrepancies, you can email these people here. But make sure you go into the portal, because it's new as of beginning of this year. We want to make sure that you have your licenses and everything you need in case you go do an update. You want to be able to get to your licenses and the documentation and downloads as well. Okay, so there's some tags here and some videos. ZCM Suite Update 2. We have the TID out there, 7025142, which covers all the information and list of fixes and details on how to download and what the version numbers are and all the bug fixes. So that is available out there for you. ZCM 2017 extended support expired April. So know that that is no longer. If you need to get up to 2020, give us a holler. We'd be happy to help you get through that. Also, ZCM 2020 Upgrade Cookbook is out there as well. And what a cookbook is it helps you with your upgrades. If you look here, you can see that it's a 2020 Upgrade Cookbook. It does talk about Update 2. It has direct links into the documentation about certain areas. So if you're looking for the ZDC or you're looking for known issues, you can get right to those TIDs. So this is kind of a focal point for you to be able to find those other areas of documentation that you're looking for. It covers database requirements, talks about the Sybase, how it went out in 17 going to 2020 and how to do that. ZDCs, if you're looking for the ZDCs for the different versions. Remember, each ZDC there's a ZDC for each version. Okay, otherwise you'll get errors that might be false positives. And then general reminders, things to do, and known issues and so forth. And then we have down at the bottom, moving from, for instance, 17 to 2020, or if you're moving from, let's see up here, 2020 update install, and then I think there's a 2020 0 to 2020 upgrade. So, pre-checks. Okay. So anyway, that particular document is out there. At the bottom, there's videos for your reference. So there'll be training. I'm trying to put together a actual training video on this, which will recap what we're doing today, but it'll be more formal, and it should be there in the next couple of weeks. Okay, so next we're going to look at imaging driver updates. May 2021, we had an update. So remember, look at your SLD portal. You should be able to find it in there. And then there's download links for 17, and there's download links for 20. Do know that the Tuxera, there was no changes, but it shows the different kernel versions, and the MD5 checksum. So that's available to you as well. Okay. ZENworks extension for Open Workgroup Suite. If you do have Open Workgroup Suite and you're wishing you had the malware, or you had the endpoint security or full disk encryption, you can go out and get that with just an add-on to your OWS to be able to get the full ZENworks Suite package, complements to the OWS Suite. Okay, Admin Studio 2021 is out there, so we have that available for you to repackaging. MFDC current version is 21.3. However, if you look at the bottom, 21.7 will be released soon. Okay, I mean, we're talking any day now. There's a couple of things here. If you're not familiar with Micro Focus desktop containers, these are good resources here. And know that version 21.7 has enhanced that streaming capability, or that at-home capability, to be able to tap into Google Drive, OneDrive, File, or Dropbox. Those types of resources for you. All right. So be aware that there's new changes coming up soon. ZAM, we had a great article out on Gartner regarding ZAM. So we really appreciate you guys chiming in and giving your reviews out there so that they can give us what they've heard. ZMM obviously has ended December 31st, 2020. ZPM Patch Tuesday highlights, you can find them. That has resources regarding if you're doing patching, different OSs, what to look out for, what the CVEs and so forth. And then there is a patch management course 250. ZRS. Oh, and there's a TID out there too as far as allow patch management to manage and update Microsoft Edge, because Edge really isn't a product, right? I mean, it's not a standalone. It's with Windows 10, right? So this tells you in detail how you can actually update Microsoft Edge. So it's a little bit different than patch management. It won't come down with the patches, right? ZRS 7.2 is out. ZRS 7.8 will be released mid-September. And the way you update it is through the Appliance Online Update channel. So it's real simple as far as you load up ZRS 7.2 or you have your ZRS 7.2. You go to the Online Update security channel. You make sure you're registered there. Once you're registered there, when it's ready to be released, you'll see it in that pop-up saying, hey, you have new updates. And you can just update to 7.8 right from there. Okay, and then restart and you're good. You don't need an ISO or a setup.exe or anything like that, or do this side-by-side moving volumes around. Okay. Let's see, ZSD 8.2.1's out. There's a few articles out there. One was ZSD preferred language, which was really good from one of the developers. Also, another one out there, there's a TID for the Upgrade Cookbook, and then there's a customization cookbook TID. So ZSD 8X the Upgrade Cookbook will let you see how to move from 7.x to 8.21. And there's videos involved in that and so forth. And then this TID is if you're customizing. So if you want to customize certain things about your systems, if you want to extend your logging, if you want to change your branding, this one's a new one here. Customize ZSD customer portal login colors and logos right at the beginning for the customer. So if you have a particular brand that you do in your corporation, you can brand ZSD, and this is how to do it. There's a couple of them here for branding and how to change colors and so forth. Also some scenarios. Okay, so this is again another just core document that we're expanding on so that you can look here to see if you can find it, and then if it's on here, it's easier to find. Also, Connected MX, we had Ed Gavin on a couple weeks ago doing Connected MX. We're glad he was able to join us and show us. There's documentation here about backing up ransomware. We covered a few different details about Connected MX and how it helps your endpoints. Filer drop-in again. Robin Redgrave does this once a month. You can download an Outlook calendar or iCal calendar for his drop-in for Filer. So if you have Filer, you're interested in Filer, you can drop in, ask him questions if you're having issues. He's open there for an hour just doing a community chat. There's also a Filer technical webinar here that you can log into as well that was back in June. It'll prompt you and say register, and once you register, it just goes into the video. Okay, so it's not upcoming. Few events, TTP, Realize 2021 from Asia Pacific. These have different sessions in them that you can review the recordings. Just want to let you know because they cover a lot more than just the ZENworks products. They cover across the board Micro Focus product sessions. So if you have those, that's great. You're able to have some resources there. Look to see for some sessions on there too. Recent articles about ZCM 2020 Update 2. Okay, we had some from some of the PMs, Vikram and Darren. And then what's new, there's customer stories, there's peer insight reviews, experience of premium asset quality. So this is ZAM again. So there's different articles out there that you can click on if you're interested or want to know about those products. You can go to those sites and review those. Recognition. We were found as a major player for unified endpoint management, which is great, which means we're getting good feedback from our customers. They're getting good feedback from our customers. We appreciate that from you, being able to do that. There are some surveys out there, Gartner results surveys and so forth. You can check that out as well. In the ZENworks community, again, how to get started with ZENworks Service Desk Preferred Language from that developer that was out there. Improved ticket handling is out there. We have the cookbook, which we showed you. Installation of ZENworks Inventory Only. This is brand new from Oliver. Installation of ZENworks Inventory Only agent on a Micro Focus appliance. So you want to inventory all your products, and this is a way to do also your appliances. Understanding how to use the environment variables and bundles was another one that cropped up. This came up a year or so ago, but it's cropped up with more conversation recently. So Craig had some great answers out there as well. Okay, so we're going to recap just a little bit about last week. If you missed last week, imaging with Windows PE, we had Moises. Moises wasn't able to attend personally, so he gave us a couple of videos which were in that particular ZENcast. We are also, we had Oliver's has a part 3 series of making imaging, doing imaging, depending on what area you're looking for, how to make a golden image, preparing ZENworks WinPE environment, configuring imaging, and add-on deployments. So look at those are great. We also covered how ZENworks handles disaster recovery. Okay, and those are all on last week's recording. You're welcome to find them out on the support and training site for Micro Focus support and training. It'll be under ZENcast, and then depending on the topic, it'll be under that particular topic, like ZENworks or Service Desk or Micro Focus desktop containers. Today, all right, you ready? Today we're doing update 2, install and update. We're going to talk a little bit about this first, and then we'll go through the demo. We have a zone with an appliance and a Windows server. Okay, we have an upgrade plan. We want to make sure we look at those system requirements. Of course, the system requirements is out in the documentation, so have that documentation handy. We're going to apply ZCM 2020 Update 2. Now, this is different than sub-revs that we've had in the past. Normally, we're going from 2020 0 to 2020 Update 1. We actually went through system updates for that. Well, this one's a little different because they're changing the architecture in the back end. So we're actually doing this from an ISO or from a virtual machine, right? Doing a side-by-side install. So it's still an update 2, but you do it from your ISO, not from system updates. So don't do looking for new updates in your system updates and you're looking for update 2. It won't be there. Double check the TID that's out there for the Upgrade Cookbook, and you'll be able to see how to do that and how to perform those. A couple of things. ZCM 2020 doing primaries. You must be at 2020 Update X, right, in order to upgrade. So you can't be on 2017 Update 4 or 2017 whatever to get to 2020. You first have to get to 2020 on the primaries and then up. Now the satellites, you can be at 11.3. We don't support 32-bit anymore. Okay, starting at 2020 Update 2, being a satellite, a 32-bit satellite. But typically your primaries are the same level as, your satellites are the same level as your primaries, right? So you want to make sure that those are the same. So most likely, if your primary is getting ready to Update 2, it's either on 2020 Update 0 or 2020 Update 1, right? Which means your satellites are probably the same. But it does go back to looking at the managed devices, and because the satellites are just managed device on steroids, giving those extra services. And you have these different details here, okay? And then there are some new platforms that we support. We've been having calls about the M1. We do have the M1 that's supported, Android, CentOS. So be aware that those new platforms are there. And it's all in the Update 2 documentation. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about tasks. Okay, test. Have a test environment. You could throw up an appliance, just throw it up. And it's obviously just, you could throw up a 2020 Update 0, and then learn how the upgrade goes, or get the ISO from 2020 Update 0 and put it on a Linux or Windows, and then test how that happens, right? You don't really need a license for that. You'll be, while you're testing, it's 60-day eval, so you're good there. So get a feel for what you need to do in your environment so that you're not stuck there on production update day where it basically, something's going wrong because we missed a step and we needed to download our licenses or, back up something. So make sure you test. Upgrade plan, have a fallback plan. So within your upgrade plan, have a fallback plan. We don't like to say that, but reality is if we have some type of a failure, whether it's hardware or network or OS or whatever, upgrade failure, we want to be able to fall back and know how to do that. Schedule times, and make sure you have team phone numbers. So your database person doesn't really need to be there, but it's good to have that phone number in case you need something and you fall into where he needs to check something or be available, at least knowing that that's going on. And that's all in your change control. I'm sure you have that, but these are just reminders. And then backup server databases. Remember, you have a ZENworks database, an audit database, and you also have a Vertica database if you're using it. All right, and maybe some Zookeeper clusters. So there's a lot of details that this is evolving into if you're using those particular areas. And then, of course, configuration, have screenshots and stuff. Download licenses, have documentation handy, double check system requirements, and extra disk space. So we are moving from a particular architecture to a new architecture. So we're shuffling files around and creating new paths. We need that extra disk space. So be aware that you have plenty of space, not just commonly on your databases, because there will be some schema updates, but also on your servers, right? And then update in sequence, right? We do the very first primary with the other primary shut down because it's an ISO install. We're going to do the very first primary, and then the one with the database, right? And then we'll show you how to look to see which one that is. That's if you have an internal database. If you have an external database, it's a little bit different. But we can show you how to work with that. And then once that primary says successful in ZCC, then the rest can be done, right? The other primaries can be done. Because it's still rebuilding packages. Even though you've rebooted, it still rebuilds packages and does some post-update tasks, okay? And then run ZDC at the end. Verify connections. However you're authenticating through LDAP, the managed devices, make sure they can connect. ZA login, DMZ, if you have something in the DMZ, you want to make sure all these things connect. And do your primaries close together. And then your satellites soon after. And then the managed devices can come because there may be a lot of managed devices, right? So you roll them out as time goes, and you can schedule those for those departments. And then watch logs. Keep that in the back area to be able to watch the logs. This is some of the steps we're going to go through. Just kind of reminds me as we go through this, so I give you a thorough demo here. So we're going to get into the demo, and we're going to go ahead and close this. We're going to, oh, you know what? We need that open. We're going to go here, and I think I have, nope. Go out to my ESX server. And we have two devices. So if we look at, let me close a few of these out just so we have some space. If we go to 27, let's open up and see what we have as our starting point. We're going to log in as administrator. Super secret password. You can see we're at 20, update 0. This particular zone has two primaries. Again, a Windows primary and a ZCM appliance. Okay, and you saw my digital airlines expired, my certificate for that. You want to make sure all your certificates are running while you're doing this. I have this particular zone LDAP down, but just be aware of certificates so they don't expire while in the middle of all of this. Again, checking your dates. Content repo system update. Can I delete the older folders? Good question. We're going to cover a little bit about that. Remind me as we go along, because if we look at my server, let's go to my server, because that gives you space, right? I mean, space is valuable, and some of these things linger on. Now there is a issue where it can hold on to, obviously it holds on to those, right? Let's see. The nice thing is you can see what the history was. We go to work, system update. You can see 17.2, 17.1. So it was upgraded from 17.2 to 2020, right? And this just has more data in it. And we should be able to, under the content, work, content repo, system update. This has space in it, right? There's a lot of taking up space. So yeah, if you're on 2020, there's no going back to 17. You can remove these right away, right? So feel free to remove these. That won't hurt anything in your system. It does give a history, but maybe you have the ZDCs for 2017, and you can kind of, if things get real bad and we're trying to figure out the database and why this one area is mucked up on the database, absolutely that the ZDCs would be helpful. But if you're already on, to answer your question, Scott, thank you, you can remove the older ones for sure. I like to leave one back so that I have something for support when I was a customer. So I had something for support to look at. Excuse me. In case we needed to know what was in play the previous version before the update, right? But great question. I appreciate that question. Currently, we are on 2020 update 0. We have our LDAP configured. Just assume that this one isn't there. We're aware of it. So we're licensed. We can see all our active licenses. We're currently on the suite, right? And so if we go to system updates, we're going to see that we can't see update 2. Okay. Even check. Oh, I don't even have it. I don't even have it configured. The entire, I didn't reactivate it. It expired like last week. When I was doing this, it was fine. Okay, so we're going to go directly into update 2. So we're going to go to our devices. What's my checklist say? Oh, let's go to pgadmin. So let me do that. Because I have an internal database, if you have MS SQL or Oracle or something, you may obviously do this on there. But we're trying to find the first server that we want to upgrade. And since we have an internal database, we want to use... we want to start with that primary that has the database first. Okay, so it's opening now. It's giving me takes a minute to load. I'm using pgadmin, and I'll move it over to the screen as soon as it comes live. So we're gonna check the database, the server roles, and the first primary. And I do have in this slide deck, I have the query that we're about to run. As a matter of fact, let me go get it. See if I can get it. I don't think I can get it. So here's Postgres, MS SQL, and Oracle. I'm going to actually, I have to break out of this to grab it. Let's go down. Where are we? There we go. Recap. All right, let's grab this one here. Grab this, Control C. Let's go back to reading there. Let's go log into my servers. 27. Oh, it's going to give me a bad... Oh, Zen admin. Okay, so I need to go over here. I thought I had saved this. I apologize for the delay here, but we're going to do Zman, ZDC, Zman, DGC. And we're going to type it in here. There we go. All right, we see it. Let me move this over. So now I'm connected, okay, to this database, and I'm going to run a query. Run that query tool. And, oh, yeah, okay. Let's run this. No, didn't take, did I miss something? I missed something on the copy. Hang on, let me grab this again. Check distinct. Sorry, guys. Copy. Should have given me. I wonder if it has white space in there. Let me go to let me find it over here where I have my original. Okay, J ZCM database queries. Sorry, server roles. Right here. Edit with Notepad++. There we go. Okay, we're going to do this one here. I think because of the PowerPoint. Really? What's wrong with this picture? Query tool. Did it yesterday. There we go. All right. I had something in there. All right. So you can see my two servers, right? Shows that they're primaries. If satellites were in here, it shows satellites. It would show what the satellites were doing as well as the primaries are doing, right? The database exists on the Windows box, so we want to do that one first. If the database was external, you still want to look to see where the master primary is or the cert auth. Those are cert auth, Zookeeper, master primary, and database and device cert auth all exist on only one primary. So when you're moving servers and stuff, those are some of the things you want to move as far as roles. But for this particular task, we have an internal database. We can now run this particular query and start on the Windows box, right? So that's what we're going to do here. Thanks for your patience on that. We're going to first go over to our other server, and we are going to turn off services. Let's go back to our checklist. Make sure oh, that's right. Okay, so SLD downloads. So if I have it already on the device, so if we look at my server, we could see under downloads, I already have the update to ISO there. Okay, so we've downloaded that. We're ready to do, we've done our backups. We have our ZDC as well. If you look, ZENworks Diagnostics for 20 and 22. I have run ZENworks Diagnostics on both of these boxes, so we can just go review the reports. And let's go look at the reports on this one. You can see it was yesterday. Index. And then I have one also on the other primary. You want to run these just so that you have, so you can see if there's any, there we go, integrity issues. So system information, you can see if you're on the right system, right? This is a 2020-0, what you're working with, you're on the right database. System files report, we do show an extra file, Zen Update or Watch, and DB migration. Any idea why the DB migration was there? Because in 17 I had Sybase to Postgres, right? Which we have now. You had to be on Postgres before you went to 2020. So it sees that extra file. It also sees some download issues. In this particular case, we're not running Zookeeper, so we're not too concerned about that one at this time. And again, this is my test environment. If you're uncertain of any of these issues, because there are some TIDs out there that will help you through going through ZDC, please contact us and we'll make sure that you don't have any issues along the way. But you can see in downloads it's missing some things, or there's errors for inconsistency. And so we're going to basically be recreating, because we're doing an ISO install. So these should be corrected after we're done. And then one of the most important is the database. Now we do have a ZRS assignmentable icons, and I believe at this point that's because I don't have a ZRS installed. So I don't have a connection to that at this time. So those are some of the things to look for. Run your ZDC just to make sure. So we've contacted support in this scenario, and they said, yeah, you're okay, we're all right, here's how to fix it, and so forth. Now we can move on to the appliance, and we did the ZDC from there. Let me do this. Let's go out to 28. This is my second appliance. We're going out to the administration console. Hello, maybe I missed it. There we go. And we can do Zen admin or root. And we can see here that we are on 2020 update 0. ZENworks configuration, if we pop that up, we can see that we're talking to the same primary. The database is on 27, which is that Windows box. It's internal Postgres and so forth. We can also see our disk space down here, which we're looking pretty good. And so if we open up, let's see, what we need to do here is turn on system services so that we can copy things to it. Currently it's stopped. By default it's stopped, but if you start it up, we can then do a WinSCP to it. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to, let's move this. Oh, I can't move it until I log in. New site. Okay, move this over. All right, so we're on WinSCP. You can see here that we've went ahead and under temp, we have our prerequisite that has to be run on this appliance. This prepares it for the next appliance, okay? Prepares the VA storage. We also have our ZDC. And if we look at, we do have reports. So we can go ahead and download this to here. Yeah, why not? And then what I'll do is we'll go out there. That is under here. ZDC. And here. And let's run the index. Now this one's on the audit database. Since I had two primaries, I ran one for the Zen database, and on the other primary I ran the audit database, saved a little bit of time. Otherwise you do have to run them individually. Okay, so the audit database report is perfect. ZENworks content is fine. System files, we're doing that Zookeeper, right? Missing file, well, we're not using Zookeeper at this time. And then the system, you can see everything's fine on that particular ZDC report. So we're good here. We've now had, now we need to run the prerequisite on the appliance, right? And we can do this before we've even started anything. We're going to close this. You can run it either from terminal. And then if we go to, one thing to remember, ZENworks Diagnostics LL. Hope that's not too small, but the ZDC is not executable, or is executable. You need to make that executable, which is in the chmod plus X for that file so that you could run the ZDC, right? Same goes for the microfocus prereq. So let's do an LL micro star. And we can see it's not at this time. So let's go ahead and do a chmod, modify the file, plus X, or 755 is the same. And then microfocus. And now if we do that, you can see it's green, which is executable. Now we can run the microfocus prerequisite SH. Okay, it's that simple. It's now prepped. It's double checked to see if it has a database and where it exists and backing up the certs and those types of things. And it puts it out on the VA storage. All right. So now we notice that we ran the microfocus prereq and then observe and correct errors and then stop the services and power down. Okay, so, or power down. We're just going to power it down, right? Because we're actually done with this physical appliance because we're going to be working on the U2 appliance next. So let's go ahead and stop this. I'm just going to do a net zero, or, oh, I'm on there, sorry. Wrong screen. Okay, over here. Noel, ZENworks, configure, my C start, and we can do 13, right? And that moved from start to stop. We hit enter and it'll stop. Or you can be in here and stop services. We have services restart. Okay. If you click on this, it'll show you which ones are started and stopped. So they've all stopped now. We can now shut down. So we've shut down our 28, which is our second primary. We're now going to work on the update for our Windows device. This guy can go away. And this guy can go away. We're done here. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to mount downloads, update to, mount, and we're going to run setup. It's going to ask us a few questions. It's going to warn us about a few things. So be aware of that. Go a little slower and kind of pay attention to these warnings because we are doing an architectural change. It'll take a little bit longer because we're shuffling files around and creating new paths, all right? And it'll warn you with that. So just kind of read through these as you're going. You have to select your language there. I selected English. We're next going to go to the EULA. This is where it does some, it's going to do upgrade the schema. So be aware that the database has to be up and running in order for you to do this, right? And it's on this box and still running. We haven't stopped any services on this box, okay? So close all other applications and so forth. Next, we accept the EULA. And then it's going to do some pre-checks. And as it's doing that, you'll see here as we go to see program files, it's Novell. There's no microfocus here, right? Just pay attention to that. This is where it's telling you some warning. We're copying ZENworks data. During the upgrade, ZENworks install directory will copied from the Novell subfolder to the Microfocus subfolder. And as you saw, there was no Microfocus subfolder yet. And the data is about this big, so it may take a few minutes. So it's warning you there. Pay attention to that. And make sure you have the right space, right? It checks that. If it doesn't have the right space, it'll tell you don't have enough space. But double check. Upgraded to ZENworks 2020 Update 2. Yes, this is the first server. It's going to then say, all right, give your ZCC credentials. And then it's going to tell us, by the way, it's going to run a ZENworks diagnostics on your database anyhow. All right, so we're going to run next. And while it runs the ZENworks, it's only on the databases. So if we look into ZENworks, work, migrate, is it here? Hang on, I might have to wait a minute. Sorry, it's under logs. Migration, see the ZDC? Now we have reports in here. Okay, and this one just ran right here. So it ran two of them, one for the ZENworks database, one for the audit database, right? So the results are there. We ran it ahead of time, so we kind of know what's going on. But this does a check, so that, and it warns you, please double check what those look like. We looked at them already. We're going to hit next. Now, one thing, this will, if we run it, if we went back and went through the setup again, it'll remove these and recreate new ones, right? So it's for that instance of the migration. So just know that it doesn't save history. In case there was something wrong, make sure you save those out. Before proceeding, ensure all primaries in the zone are running in the operating system. So make sure you've checked those system requirements. And again, have you backed up? Have you stopped all services on others? Taken backups? We've taken backups of the virtual machine and the database. And then we're gonna, I think the next step is the summary. Okay, so we're down here, we've stopped, we've mounted, warning disk space and changing directories, ZDC on databases, observe and correct errors, verify task list, which we just went through. And then after completion, after it completes, we'll do a restart. And if you notice, we'll have a Microfocus ZENworks configure -C start now, instead of a Novell ZENworks configure -C start that we ran before. So things are slowly changing over to the Microfocus branding, and you'll see that as you go along. Shouldn't take too long. And we're not going to wait for it to go all the way through the update because I have a snapshot of it. But I wanted you to see all the screens as we go along. And Scott, regarding deleting the older folders and stuff, yeah, we need to put a TID out there on what to delete and what not to delete, because there's other things in there. For instance, if you migrated the Sybase database to Postgres, oh, there we go, no. To Postgres, you will find that it makes a backup of that, and that stays here. And I'm trying to make, that's Postgres there, database. It's here, right here. I think this is it. See, there's a Postgres, but I think these are the databases. No, because those are too new. They might be. But the Sybase still exists out here. And so there is a TID as well as a script after you go to 2020 Update 2 to remove the old legacy Sybase stuff to give you some more space. Okay, so if you did have Sybase, you'd want to run that script. I'll put the links to the TIDs and these comments and documentation into the comments after the recording's done this afternoon. So just be aware that those will be in the comments. You'll see the different TIDs and maybe that script location and so forth. Okay. It's taking longer than I expected. Nothing hiding. It's going through checks. There we go. Okay, so review the following before continuing. Pre-upgrade. So yes, you have 11.3, right? That's you might have a lot of data to save. I mean to remove. So good for you for having the legacy that long. But yeah, you can remove some of those. I don't think you're going back to that, right, Scott? Yeah. Good. Yeah. Feel free to do that, especially once you get to 2020. You won't be going back. So you'll see that it's backing up server configuration. You'll see that it starts moving some of the stuff to another location. We'll wait just a minute. I don't have much to back up, I don't think, on this. I don't think it took too long to get actually into the packages, but we'll kill this VM and come up after it's done. So now it's executing some commands to probably to move. And, oh, it's installing the latest Postgres, right? 12.4, because it's internal. So it's actually upgrading your internal database as well. So it's kind of interesting to watch these to see exactly what it's doing, especially this moment, because we're doing some architectural changes. You might find it interesting, some of the things that they're actually doing. We'll wait until the Postgres is updated, and then we'll see what happens after that. So hopefully we can get a TID out there for everybody to help them understand a little bit better what you can, because I'm just in case, right? Because there are some instances when you remove, for instance, if you have patches running, or you have dependencies is really the word I'm looking for. If there's dependencies on older versions, then you might, it's very common for you to leave that previous one behind because it has a dependency on that update. So yeah, there we go. Config Postgres, so it's configuring the upgrade now. So we'll go ahead and, I think we can go ahead and kill this guy and bring up a later version. Let's see what versions we have here. Let's move this aside. We'll go snapshots, manage snapshots. We're here before they finish, so we'll tie right into that one there. Let's see if it's doing anything else. So it's doing the Postgres engine upgrade right now. Okay, so let's go ahead. We can go ahead and kill this guy. Shut down. And please don't do this on yours, right? I've gone through it already and got the snapshots for you to make the time easier. So that'll kill. And then we'll go to snapshots. Manage. We're going to go here. Now this one was live. I wasn't sure. Let's restore it and see if it comes back live for us. I'm always nervous about doing live snapshots because whether or not what it's doing and what's going on, because in this particular case, it was starting services. It might be better for us to go to the finished state. It's not wanting to start up that one. See, occasionally, maybe I'm not doing the save state right, but let's go to a different. Don't give me a hard time now. Oh, it's still, I'm sorry. It's still recovering that one. I wasn't paying attention to the revert down here. Getting ahead of myself. Let's get it done now. Yes, you can do Zman sudo. You can do Zman sudo minus F2. If you just do sudo, it'll sit in the queue, and when cleanup occurs, Spencer, it will obviously purge those files. But if you also do minus F, it'll do it right away. So thanks for that note, though. Yeah, you can use Zman to remove those. And let's see. We'll start it up. Let's see if it's going to continue starting up. It's always, oops. Escape. Always uncertain if it's just a frozen screen. See, I'm not getting any clicks. Yeah. Let's go over here. Oops. Am I not being patient enough again? It says completed. Still powering on, maybe? Power on is complete. All right, let's see if we can go to, see, I was leery of doing that one, but I'm not able to get to there. Okay. You coming to life? There, you come to life. Okay. So after it does start system, it asks you, do you want to start them yourself or do you want to start them later? This one was no, but I did want to do a system check. So it'll do a system check here. But I always like to restart the server itself. If we look here, you'll see, if I can open it, it's reacting a little slow. Okay, still working it. I can move things. It's reacting slow though. So while this is occurring, we can actually go over to our 28. Let me go, how do I minimize this? I lost all my, let's go in. Yeah, it's working. There we go. 27. It's still doing that process. See, why is it opening all the way? Oh, there we go. Okay. That's good. We'll leave that running. Now we're going to go to the 28. First off, we have 2020 update 0. We've run the microfocus. Let me close this so it doesn't distract us. We've run the microfocus prerequisite. We're now going to look at the disks to see where the disk resides. We have a 300 gig. We notice that particular file is here, right? So what we want to do is we want to copy that file over to 28 to this guy and add the disk. Now I've done that because it took a long time last night. So if we go here, we can go into, let's go edit. Let's go to our disk 2. And we'll go to data browser. And this is more of what you'll have your VM guy do, right? But if we go to data store 1 and we go to 28 update 2, there's an extra disk in here from 21 right here. Happens to be 4 because I did a snapshot just before we started. So we're going to add that particular, this is what we copied over from .0. As you can see, there's no .2 here. These are .2s. So we dropped that one in there, and we're going to add that as our second disk. So if we go into 28 and we go to edit settings, we can then do add hard disk, existing hard disk, because we copied it over. It's in here. We're going to pick the one that's 28004. Select and save. And we should see 2 disks. Okay. The 300 disk is here. Now let's go ahead and power this on. All right, power. And it's going to go through. You can see it's update 2. It'll run through. And this too, I have some snapshots in between so that we don't have to wait for the full cycle. But to get an idea of time frame, this is live so far. It's going to ask us for this particular appliance's root and Zen admin passwords. So this is the core OS right now that it's building. And it's double checking to see if we have that disk. You'll see that in a moment. Okay. Configuring keyboard. We're almost there. There we go. There's the passwords. All right. And notice it has 28 already there. I haven't pressed another button since I saved those passwords. It's applying what it had saved using that script that we ran on the old 28, putting it on the VA storage. It sees the new VA storage. It's grabbing that identity and putting it on this appliance. If you needed to get anything from the other appliance, you can still change the NIC IP, power it up, and do what you need to do to get to the file system and stuff. So it just, obviously they can't be both the same IP at the same time. So this is live. You're seeing how it's coming across, building up. This is some of the standard stuff. And then it sits here for a little bit because it's now doing the background stuff with VA storage. Oh, wait, let's go back to our 27 and see what we got going on over here. Okay. So for our 27, it says we've completed it. So that's a good thing. I was going to try and make this a little bit bigger. So it says it's successful, green, done. Okay. Now you'll notice there's a micro focus here. Novell's still there. There is some stuff in here, but as we slowly move stuff over in different portions of the product, we're moving towards a micro focus, right? And then you have your logs, which you're familiar with, right? Next, let's go over to ZENworks control while 28's still working. Let's go to ZCC. Actually, let's go here. It's bigger. This 27, yeah. Let's refresh this guy. And there we are. We're at 22. Oops. I like that they put the version here now, so you can see that a little easier in the zone name. This has been there. It's coming up. What are we doing over here? Oh, this one came up already. We can close that. Just a smaller screen there. So then you'd want to run, obviously, we have under the downloads, we have the ZDC for 2020 update 2, right? I don't think I ran that. No, I hadn't run that yet. After you're all done, so you can double check and verify the upgrade and the integrity of the files and database and so forth. You can run the ZDC anytime. It's non-invasive, and it just collects that data that really tells you about the integrity of your zone and that particular primary. So just remember, you have to run it on each database, right, separately, because it has to authenticate differently on each one. And then each primary you could do the content in the system for the ZENworks system. Give it a minute. How are we doing over here? 28 still working. Yeah, see, this will take a minute or two, or actually about 8-9 minutes, I think. This is working it. So the next page, we notice the paths have changed. And the next page, we could see you have the appliance. We moved the VA storage. We powered up the appliance administrative portal. Oh, here we go. Okay. Run U2 ZDC, which is where we're just about to. The ZENworks Update 2 release has enhancements introduced. You can either show it or not show it again. It'll also tell you about devices and malware threats. You can show or not show. If you want to get started right into malware, you can select this and it'll take you right into security, this security area here. And then you can do your anti-malware, designating the server and so forth. Won't get into that today. We've had a couple of demos on that already, so I think you can check those out. Darren does a great job. You can now see that Update 2 is here. Okay, it's ready, but notice it's still pending, right? We've only applied it. Oh, it's pending probably. Let's look. It's awaiting reboot. So it hasn't seen that reboot, and that's why I like to do the reboots on these things instead of just not doing the reboot. So it's waiting for a reboot. I'm going to go ahead and shut down and restart this guy, since the other one seems to be kicking off. 28 seems to be doing a little bit of work here. So you can, at least with this particular demo, you can see what the appliance has and what a Windows has. And the Linux would be very similar to the Windows, right? It's an OS install with ZENworks on it. Again, just make sure you check the prereqs and your disk space all around. Yeah, it's restarting. So you can see that there's Micro Focus, ZENworks join proxy service, the loader service. There's server service. There's some Docker, starting Docker applications and containers. So that's a little bit different than what you've seen in the past. Now on this guy, yep. Okay, so we can go. All right. Almost there. It'll automatically log in. As you saw, I have brought this one up actually from 11.4, but had to do a migration, had to move it to the VM. So so I had all sorts of GUIDs in there for past updates that I had to get rid of. So it's good to double check that. And oh yeah, when this comes up, let's see if I can remember where that script is for the Sybase. Okay, what's next? So we have the DB queries. I put some resources out here. So YouTube upgrade details, and then the cookbook on things to look for has reminders and stuff. There's other things like what's new, and again, don't look for the ZRS in your SLD. Look for it in the online updates channel of your 7.2 appliance for ZRS. Okay, and then there's some debug and logging that still this TID goes back forever, right? And it's been updated for 2020 and 2020 update 2. So there's our next schedules coming up. And we also have one after this for Micro Focus desktop containers, end of October or November, beginning of November. Desktop containers streaming and how it works. Really works quite nicely. And you can integrate it into Filer and so forth. So you're not opening things on-prem or at home workers and so forth. Wonder if I should have brought up my snapshot. But I probably would have been too eager then too. So we'll wait. And so here's, just double check this for white space. Obviously I copied this in, but I put I think I did some carriage returns and stuff in here that would mess it up in the query itself. So just double check it. These have all been checked for syntax wise, just not I think I added white space because of the presentation. Okay, so the virtual appliance application servers coming up. There it is. Okay, we'll give it a minute to settle, and we'll go to 28. This one's still coming up too. We'll see if 28 can come up. Let's do any refresh will do it. So let's go here. We should be at 20.2 now. There we go. So now it's gotten, the 28 has gotten to the point where we're now doing the upgrade, right? The 2020.2 part of the upgrade. And it basically, when you go to 9443, hang on a second, Scott. We're going to verify all the steps that have been completed. We went through these steps. We got the content repo. We've noticed the micro focus in here. And we've moved that. We didn't have one, so we won't. But we're going to go ahead and hit next. So you saw it was about 15 minutes for that to actually build the OS, move things around. So be aware that may take a little bit. Give it a little bit of patience. Outdated APNS cert. Honestly, I don't know. I'll have to take that one under advisement and double check. Feel free to email me. And if you have any questions, anyhow, you can feel free to email me, and we'll get you the right people to answer those questions. But Scott, yeah, send me an email on that. I honestly don't know where those reside, but thanks for asking that question. So we're going to do the ZCC login, the zone administrator credentials here. Right, for Apple, yeah. Unable to contact the first primary server. Oh, it's still coming up, isn't it? Let's go back over here. Yeah, it's still coming up. We're going to give it a minute to come up. So we kind of overlapped, right? We took a head start on 28 on the appliance before we actually had this guy up and running. Remember, we had to reboot because it's looking for the server, the database. So we'll wait a minute and move forward here in a sec. Had I not rebooted, or if I had rebooted originally, it would be ready to go. The way I tell is once we get the server manager all the way up, I give it another minute or so. There's server manager. We could do this. It's working too hard. My ESX server. I don't have much running on it, but I didn't reboot it last night to help it out. There it is. Give it another minute or so, and then we'll go over to the other appliance. See if we come up with ZCC. This is 27, so that's correct. So it was waiting a reboot before it said, okay, now I need to rebuild packages, and we're successful. I could try. Database might be up. Okay. He's up. Yeah, it still doesn't see the database yet. Give it a couple more minutes. Following that, so some of the critical points are obviously knowing that the change in paths, right? So if you've had some scripting out there, you've done some scripting to bring up that program files, novel, whatever, make sure you've gone back in and changed some of those. That's important. Otherwise, those scripts won't work. We're almost done with the appliance. We're almost done with, actually, we're real close to the finish of the Windows. Almost. Yeah, I started it there too. So be sure you have, if you have any scripting, if you have any backups for content repo only type stuff, make sure you have that stuff adjusted. Do observe the errors in ZDC. Do run that occasionally. That would be like a every 6 months run it, even though you haven't done an update is always good. And make sure you've logged into SLD to get what you need out of SLD, either downloads or licenses. Notice we didn't have to put any licenses in on this, which is fine. There was a prompt in there, and I think I went too fast, of are you changing licenses? And if it's yes, then it will ask you for those licenses. So if you've gone from just ZCM and maybe patch and you went to the suite, well, the suite is different than just the ZCM license. Okay, so that's the reason behind that particular prompt. Let's go see what we got here. There we go. Log it in. your zone latest version. So both of these are being updated, right? So remember the scroll is here. If you see one, it almost looks like there's only one server being updated. But there is a scroll here. So I wish they almost cut this off halfway into a second one just so that you could see that there's something else there. Anyway, so it's notifying us of that. We're going to go into system updates. Of course, it needs a refresh, needs to know that so it hasn't refreshed yet. We can go over here and do that just to speed it up. It'll do it naturally, but it's probably in process already. Okay, let's look over on our other device. 28, we can close this one. This one's 28. Database should be up now. So now we're back on 28, running through. Why are we having a problem? Let's go to previous. I have checked. Next. Let's try it again. Unable to contact the first primary server. Didn't happen this way last night. She's up. Let's go on over to here. It is best to wait for this to be completely done so you're not overlapping. Before you do it, I was just rushing through it, because we have limited time. Okay, let's go back over here. Oh, it's still refreshing. You can do Zeus also. Again, if we go to, since this one's been updated, let's see if I can see it's running slow. Open command prompt. It's now micro focus dash ZENworks dash configure my C start. Okay, so be aware that we are slowly getting everything over to the new branding of Micro Focus. We're still refreshing. Go back out. There it is. Rebuilding deployment packages. So it saw it completed 2. It completed the upgrade to update 2. It now is going to build the deployment packages, so when you send out your ZENworks adaptive agent, it will have the ZENworks 20.2 in any search or anything that's needed. And this normally takes a minute or two, but that should mean that the database is up. Let's go back over here and try this. No, it doesn't see it. Let me start this. Let me start this over. Let's go cancel. And let's do a refresh. Kick it off again. Log out. I'm going to go, okay, next. It may have some preliminary stuff it does in there. Let's try. No, it's not seeing it. Incorrect. Yeah, I know. Okay. Let's go back to what we're going to do is we're going to restore this guy. Image snapshots. Added 300 gig. After copying VA storage. Let's go here. Restore. See if we can do a little catch up. Give it a minute to do its thing. Looks like it's not done yet. Close this. Oh, it's locked. Well, that's no fun. Hang on a second. Okay, completed successfully. Let's see. Yeah, I mucked up my resources. So we're gonna go over to my backup. Let me go to my backup. $39. Okay, close. Power this guy. Oh, we can. Okay, I haven't. All right, so back to the appliance. We're going to step back a little bit. We're on the appliance. We're at the point where we can log in, and this is a different zone, but it's my backup zone. If we run the ZDC. I don't think I run the, okay, so we do CD TMP. And we do have the microfocus in there. We're going to chmod 755 microfocus. Okay, the script. And then we're going to run the microfocus script. Okay, ready to go. So now what we can do is we can go ahead and power this down. I'd like to see you to see the wizard for the appliance. That's where I'm going for here. Power those down, those services. We're going to then do a knit 0, which will power it down. Then we'll copy the disk over. This is on VMware Workstation, but VMware Workstation isn't supported in production, just so you know, but it's great for testing. I think they stopped VMware Workstation at 20 or 20U1. They stopped support for it. Okay. Anytime now. We'll go ahead and copy the disk over. We have a disk on this guy. We're going to copy to this guy. I wasn't being patient enough with my ESXi, I don't think. Previous employer, I had a good friend of mine that we went through. He was ZENworks too, and we did server admin, and he would say, "Paul, step away from the keyboard. Step away from the keyboard," because I'd get too anxious. Let the system do its thing. 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 Let the syst Okay. So you can see this is update 2. This is just 2020. And I think this one was upgraded to 2020 update 1. So it doesn't matter if you're on 2020 or 2020 update 1 to go to 2020 update 2. Now we can do a knit 0. And this is should be a little faster because it's on an SSD drive. There you go. Now we're going to go here. Snapshot. Actually, we're going to go to edit settings. We're going to find where that disk is, that second disk, which is 120, right? It's over here. So it's 39C 2020. I'm going to then open up documents, virtual machines, this one here. And I'm going to copy the VA storage, copy, and update 2, paste. It's basically a blank system. It was just a backup in case I needed to use it. So this would actually have the database on it itself, right? Because this is a different zone. This particular zone is one primary. It's just a single appliance. We're copying over the VA storage to the new 2020 update 2. We're going to then fire up the 2020 update 2 and see if we can get that wizard going again. Appreciate your patience. Almost there. We can go like that. We can go here. Now we need to attach, right? We need to edit the machine's settings. We need to add a hard disk. Existing. Browse. We need to go to our documents, virtual machines, and VA storage. Open, finish. It recognizes it. We're going to hit OK. We're going to now power this on. Setup. It's going to ask us again for what? The root and ZenAdmin passwords. The one thing about copying that VA storage disk, copying that instead of moving it, is if everything were just like that other one, it was bad, I could go back to being 2020 update 0 on that other one because I didn't move it, I copied it. And I could just fire up that old instance and start again and work on it again. Let's go ahead and put these in. Super secret password. It should pick up the identity at 39 and the DNS. Should automatically pick up that second disk and start shuffling things. While that's occurring, I wonder if we go back to Do I Dare? Oh, it was here. See if things settled at all. Okay, let's see if we can go to 28 just for kicks and giggles. 9443. You're going to want that. Good. Okay. No, it's hurting. Something's hurting on that machine. There we go. Give it one last try while that one's coming up. All right. It did not prompt us. We should have been prompted with that prompt. So yeah, something got mucked up. We will leave that and continue with ours here. Of course, it'll take a minute or two. So, any other questions? The APNS server, I can check that out. There's a question on, moving data or having space, clearing space, right? And the Sybase script to remove the old database, because if you've gone this far, if you're going to 2020 update 2, you're not going back to Sybase. And then what other things are there? If you have any other questions, go ahead and put them in chat. Well, this is coming up. It's starting here. This is my SSD, so hopefully it's a little bit quicker. This will be my 39. I can while we're waiting. Okay, close. I can go to here and attempt another snapshot. That's 2020 update. Oh, that's why. I went all the way back, didn't I? That's probably this guy down. Yeah, let's nuke this guy. I can't. Yeah, it's not. My ASX needs some maintenance, I think. So I don't think we're going to get very far with this guy. Let's go back over to, he's starting to move. See the micro focus in here? See the Dockers in here? There we go. There we go. So we're at 39. 9443. So if we go ahead and open up a browser, there we go. Let's see if we can get rolling and show you that presentation, the wizard. Oh, they look alike. This is the administration console. This has to be root. Root or Zen admin. Okay, here's that wizard. Let's see what happens here. It'll ask us for the administrator's ZCC password or credentials. Administrator. Okay, and then it starts, it takes off. You can view the upgrade log as it goes. If you remember, there's a 7444 when you're doing a system update, like going from 2020 0 to 2020 update 1. You could go to the 7444, not with the ISO. Okay, so this is your progress here. 7444 is the system updates progress view, and this is the progress view for this, because we're doing them individually, step at a time. I thought there was something else in here, but there's not. So it's just going to go all the way to the end and try to be, it'll finish up. You can see where, because it's the new appliance, it's 2020 update 2 up here, but it hasn't finished all the system updates, package rebuilds, and ZENworks adaptive agent builds and all that stuff yet. That's what it's doing now. Okay, if we look at the upgrade log, we can see what it's doing and where it's sitting. Here's your GUID for 2020 update 2. Okay, we could refresh that if we wanted to watch that along the way. And this will obviously take a minute. We'll let that hum, and then we'll see. I will be having a formal training presentation, and it'll be in a future ZENcast where I'll post it, but I'll also post it out on the ZENworks the ZENworks support and training YouTube channel as well. So if you haven't been out here, so this is the schedule. Let me move this. There it is there. This is the schedule, and you can see November we have the desktop containers to be announced here. But if you haven't been out to the ZENcast live playlist for these recordings are going on here. And then if you go to support and training, there's multiples. If you haven't been out here, there's all sorts of Micro Focus products. Under endpoint management, you have the ZENcast. Since it's ZENworks, it'll be ZENworks training. It'll be under ZENworks, and that's where you'll find the training for this update. There'll be a lot of the content that's in this presentation in there, because it'll be more formal than not. It'll be a demo that will actually have at high speed, right? So during this process that we're waiting for, I will, change the speed on it so that we can see it go faster, right? So time lapse, and then so it won't take as much time waiting through all of the update. You can see now it's updating ZENworks schema, but remember it also had to upgrade the Postgres database as well. So that took a little bit on the front end of this one. So yeah, I'll have that. It'll be within the next 2 weeks, and I'll announce it on my ZENcast when it is. If you come here regularly, you'll hear it. If not, take a peek out under the support and training site, and you should see it. I don't think I can recover this guy. We can go to snapshots, console, manage snapshots. Yeah, see, I never did a complete. Oh, this is 28. Hang on. We want to go shut down. We want to force it off. Yes. And we want this one. One last ditch effort. I don't like the demo gods often. So let's see if we can restore this one. And let's wait for it to restore. It will be powered off, refresh. Oh, failed to restore. Failed to revert. So it's mucked up. So you can see this is moving along. It'll be probably another 10 minutes. Of course, I didn't have any policies or bundles in this one. This was just for presentation. But it'll basically come up with 2020 update 2 like you've seen before. It'll give those prompts in the beginning when you open up ZCC about malware and the new add-ons. Again, you want to make sure you restart the services at the end so that actually restart the server, which will restart the services. It'll do both, so that you can get a successful update. And then after it's done finishing the ZAA packages under system updates, that's when it's actually complete. And you can move on to the next primary. So, of course, you want all the services down and the database on, but all the services down on the other primary so that you don't have communication going to that database while you're doing an upgrade on the first primary. Use the query that I have in this presentation. Should help you to determine which one you want to start with first. And I think you'll have a successful update. I jumped the gun and tried to push it here a little bit too much. So apologize for that delay and that hiccup in my presentation. But I don't think there's much else to discuss on here. We are back to... And don't use this as straight documentation, right? These two steps. These were reminders for me to do certain things. I jumped the gun and didn't wait until the final before I went to the appliance. But check out the resources that are here, the documentation that is here. I hope you come back and we'll have a good time next time looking at ZCM dashboards. If you have any questions on dashboards, I really am looking forward to input on that so that I can maybe try and formulate something that would help what you might be doing in your environment. I'm not a wizard on the dashboard, so I'll be getting some resources myself to get that squared away and understand it a little bit better. Not just understand, but get the dashboards up and going with the different policies so that you can actually see it. My particular lab isn't as big as obviously your environment, but we'll give it a go and we'll talk about it. If you do have anything for me, please email me. If you have any ideas for more ZENcasts, please email me. I appreciate everybody that came in today. I just realized my camera's off. And, oh no, there it is. Okay. And I appreciate everybody that came in. And if there's no other questions, I'll be on live chat for another 5 minutes or so. But I appreciate everybody being here. And you guys have a great August. And I hope your September's even better. All right? Thank you, everybody. Talk soon. And it's done. 2020 update 2. Just after I turned it off. All right. everybody, have a great week. Thanks for joining me. Be kind.